Hi everyone, Elliot Jacobson here for Advanced Advantage Play, and today I want to talk about an email that I received just the other day with a great question, the type of question that I really love. People sending me this sort of thing. It's not based on voodoo, it's not about some system, it's not someone trying to tell me I'm wrong about something. It's someone asking a genuine question about a completely valid way to beat a casino game. And this is going to be card counting a Baccarat side bet. But this is a particularly interesting side bet, as we'll see once I go through the analysis. And so let me just tell you what I have titled this particular presentation is the world's most beatable Baccarat side bet you will never play. And I think you'll understand why you're not going to play this by the time I get to the end of this talk. But let's get right into it. First thing I want to just share this email I got. So the email says, "Hi Elliot, this was August 10th. I read the forum regarding beating the 3 giving 8 side bet and saw the unbalanced count by somebody I've redacted. But I was wondering if you had the data for your balanced count method. I'm looking to use it for a 6-deck game, so knowing the edge numbers for each true count would help a lot if possible. Thanks so much." All right, this is pretty crazy, right? This is this weird side bet, 3 giving 8. I mean, what a name for a side bet. Who would ever, let's just name our side bet 3 giving 8. That will surely draw a lot of people to it. If you have a copy of my book on table game design, you will know how fiercely I recommend against using numbers when you name a side bet or a game. It's a big turnoff for people. But at any rate, let's just see what the person's talking about. What they're actually referring to is this thread at the fabulous website, wizardofvegas.com. There is a message board forum there, and if you go there and if you just do a search in Google on 3 giving 8 and Wizard of Vegas, you'll come on this thread. Can the 3 giving 8 side bet in Baccarat be counted? And what I discovered is that I had actually contributed to this thread and done a complete analysis of this side bet that I posted to this thread that I never published anywhere. I mean, this is the only place it ever appeared. Pretty weird. I mean, it's just sometimes you just do something in an offhand way. So this is going to be the official publication of this analysis, kind of to the world, right? So if you want to just find out more about that, again, you can go to the fabulous website, wizardofodds.com. And let me just read what it says. Here, if you've seen the introduction, 3 giving 8 is a Baccarat side bet. They say a casino. I'm not sure it's still at the Hippodrome, but that's where it was as of this post. And here is the text that is the key to this side bet. The 3 giving 8 Baccarat side bet pays 200 to 1. If the banker hand starts with a 2-card total of 3, and the player hand draws, so it has to be a drawing hand for the player, not a 6, 7, 8, or 9. It has to be a 0 through 5. So the player draws, and the draw card is an 8. And that is so weird, right? I mean, the player has to draw a card, has to be an 8, and the banker hand has to be a 2-card 3. So, I mean, where did that come from? And the place it came from is this table that shows these weird convoluted drawing rules for Baccarat. And most people who just watch the game know that you pretty much should add up the totals of the cards. And if they add up to more than 10, you just take the digit that's left over. But there's this one very weird spot in this table, which is this spot right here. And what this says is that if the banker's first 2 cards total of 3, then that banker is going to draw another card whenever the player draws a 3rd card. So the player draws a 3rd card, banker's total is 3, banker will draw a 3rd card, with one exception. And that one exception is when that 3rd card the player drew was an 8. All right, so it's just weird, right? You just have to kind of imagine it. You know, the banker has a 2-card total of 3. You're sitting there as player. You have a total of 0 through 5. If you draw a card and that card's not an 8, the banker's going to take another card. But if the player draws a 3rd card and it is an 8, the banker stands. Don't ask me why. That's the rule, and that's the basis for this side bet. So it is very strange, but let's get right into the mathematical analysis of this thing. So here is the combinatorial analysis, and I'm not going to go through what this is. I've done other videos on combinatorial analysis, but essentially what I do is I run through every single way a Baccarat hand can play out, right? I look at every combination of cards and I count the number of those, the exact number of those that come out to be a winning for the 3 giving 8 and everything else, and then convert that to a probability and just do sort of a usual computation here. I'm going to be using the standard deviation as well, so I have the variance in the final column there. So you can stare at these things. If this is the kind of thing, if you are somebody who is interested in writing software, this is a good one to try, and it's not that hard to do. But at any rate, one of the interesting things here is if you look at the very bottom here and you look at under the N and you look at the totals, you'll see that for the 8 deck, it doesn't add up correctly. Why? Because you have a 16 and a 40 adding up to a 60, the last 2 digits, right? 16, 40, 60. Well, this is an Excel issue. Excel simply can't handle integers this large. And so, it kind of rounds up when you get to that many digits. But at any rate, it's close enough, right? If you actually do the analysis in C or C++ or some other programming language using a large enough data type, you do get these exact answers. All right, so let's just sort of break down what's important from those tables. The house edge for the 8-deck game is 8.682%. The standard deviation, that'd be the square root of the variance, is 13.517 if you care. But if you actually look from this combinatorial analysis of how often you win, what is your probability of winning? And again, here all we do is we go to this probability number right here, and we take 1 over that, right? 1 divided by the probability will be your 1 in chance of winning this. So we are winning roughly 1 of these bets out of every 220 we play. And just to sort of put that into something that might be more familiar to you, compare that to playing poker or blackjack. How often do you get dealt pocket aces? Well, pocket aces are once in 221 in a single deck game. So roughly you are betting that you're going to get pocket aces. Now you would never want to make that a side bet because it's the world's most countable side bet, but I mean just probabilistically you win this about as often as you get dealt pocket aces if you're a poker player. And very similar numbers for the 6-deck game. So the house edge, 8.558%, the standard deviation, 13.529. You'll win once every 219.8 hands you play. Again, very close to pocket aces. So, this house edge, 8.558%, it's kind of high. But if we start thinking about card counting this side bet, okay, 3 giving 8, right? So what does the banker need? The banker needs a 2-card total of 3. Well, the easiest way to get that is with a 3 and a 0-valued card, right? You're going to get that 4 times as often as any other way you get a total of 3. So, it's obvious that a 3 is a very important card. But because there are other ways of getting a total of 3 other than, 0 value plus 3, it's not the most important card. There is one card that is obviously the most important card, and that's the fact that the player hand has to draw a 3rd card 8. So the more 8s in that shoe, the better, right? I mean, that is a very valuable card. So it turns out that you have the world's most obvious card counting system for this. And this is what the math actually tells you to do. And the math is correct. This is absolutely the right thing to do. Ace, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. And again, 10, Jack, Queen, King, all the 0-value cards. Those will be +1. You're happy to see those leave. 3s, you're sad to see those leave. So 3, it turns out the right tag is -3. Isn't that convenient? And what's even funnier is that 8, the right tag is -8. So you're almost 3 times as sad to see 8s leave as 3s leave, right? So it's this weird sort of coincidence that these tags come out to be exactly these values. So the easiest possible card counting system to remember, it would be trivial to implement, certainly with the scorecard at the table. So yeah, I think you've already learned how to card count the 3 giving 8 side bet. So let me actually show you some results now. So I ran a couple of simulations. Now, a couple times over the last month, I've had emails from people saying, I want to write code in Python or VBA or something like that. Some person said, I let my code run for a week to get 2 million simulated shoes, and they had a betting system that they were trying to prove worked, but whatever. Python code, 2 million shoes, 1 week, right? So my code for this is written in C++, compiled with some flags that make it sort of as fast as possible. And to run 200 million 8-deck shoes took about 10 to 12 minutes. I just have an off-the-shelf Dell computer, so somewhere in the range of 10 minutes. And I mean, just that's how long it takes. It is... if you're going to do these sorts of computations, you have to use a high-level programming language, or I guess it'd be low-level, right? Something that's really can be converted into very quick code for the processor. Don't try and use some Python or some modern piece of, I don't know what to say, what I think of these languages, but for computations, just no good. Okay, let's look at the numbers. All right, I think the very first number, if you go down this list that's interesting, is this hands per shoe with an edge. So hands per shoe is about 81 on average. All right, so I have the cut card at 14 cards, just so you know, and I use the usual rule where you turn over the first card and expose it, and then you burn that many cards before you start playing the shoe. All that's built in. Hands per shoe with an edge, about 18.86%. of hands with an edge, 23% of the hands, almost 1 in 4 hands, you'll have an edge over the house here. The average edge you're going to have is close to 17%. How many units are you going to win per shoe? You're winning 3 units per shoe. You're winning almost 4 units per 100 hands. I cannot think of a side bet that I've analyzed in a long, long time that has a win rate of close to 4 units per 100 hands. So a huge win rate. This thing is absolutely crushable in the sense of the units won per 100 hands. The win frequency, you see this win frequency? It's 1 in roughly every 172 hands. Do you see what happened there? By card counting, we have changed from winning roughly 1 out of 220 hands, right? About the same as pocket aces. We've changed from that to 1 in 172 hands. So we have managed by card counting to sort of select the hands where it's more likely that this event is going to occur. There's no certainty, of course, but by making it more likely, we get a win rate that's almost 50 hands better than basic strategy. But look at this desirability index. It's 6. Now, if you know anything about these numbers, you'll know that this is pretty bad compared to hole carding or edge sorting or these other methods. But it's fairly strong for a card counting system. But the weird thing is, with this huge win rate of almost 4 units per 100 hands, we still have such a low desirability index. Why? Because the win event is still so rare, right? It's still rare to win this thing. And just so you really understand, here's a summary. Your win rate is huge at 3.93 units won per 100 hands. You'll play about 18.86 hands per shoe. You're going to win about 1 out of every 172 hands. The key is you're going to win 1 and lose 171, right? And if you actually break this down by shoes, you're really going to win about 1 bet every 9.1 shoes, right? I mean, crazy. 9 shoes, how long is a shoe? It's an hour to an hour and a half. You're talking about roughly if you play full time, 8 hours a day, you're talking about every day and a half you may win one of these bets, right? You'll be making 18 of these bets per shoe on average, and you're going to win about 1 bet every day and a half. I mean, that's a crazy thing to want to do at the table. But at any rate, this person, by the way, to go all the way back. So all of this was at the Wizard of Vegas website, right? This was posted there. You can find this data there. So he asked specifically about 6 decks. So here's the 6 deck number right here. You can see all the 6 deck numbers. Again, I'll just leave that there. You can stop the video and you can read through all that stuff. But let me just summarize that. For 6 decks, your win rate has jumped from 4 units to almost 5 units per 100 hands. And that makes sense because it's really the same bet but with much fewer decks, right? So what does that mean? It means that counting in general should be much more effective. So you're going to be playing about 15 3/4 hands per shoe. Again, there's not as many hands played in a 6 deck shoe, so you're not going to be playing quite as many hands. You're going to win 1 hand for every 169 you lose. So you can see your win rate is improved slightly. You're winning 1, you're losing 168. And again, that's about 1 hand you're going to win for every 10.7 shoes, which is crazy. I mean, just think if you're really going to be able to do this in a casino. And that's the point. Oh, before I go on that rant, the desirability index there, 7.1. I mean, that's decent, right? That's not bad. That's better than most card counting will ever give you. So what is our net expected value? All right, so let's put this all together. And I had Excel to sort of create this slide, and I kind of like it. So I put everything together. So let's imagine we're at a casino and we're playing this thing, all right? So what are we going to do in a casino if we want to beat this? Well, we're going to have to play the main game. You know, we can't simply back count and go into the game just when we make the side bet and sit out. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit too obvious. And even what I'm going to advise you here is a little bit too obvious if you're going to be doing it day after day. But say you're betting $10 on the main game, but then you bet $100 on the side bet whenever the true count is 2 or higher. But you know, the casino, like many casinos, says, well, if you're going to bet 100 on the side bet, I'm sorry, sir, we have to require that you also bet 100 on the main game. So here's our player, $10 on the main game. Unless they're betting the side bet, then they play 100, 100, okay? Then per shoe, look how it made that little shoe icon over there. You bet $10 on the banker on roughly 45 hands. That's approximate. And if we take that 10 times 45, that means $450 wagered at a 1.06% house edge. So that's about $4.77 in expected value. Now, we're going to have to bet, when we want to match our bet on the main, on the side bet, we're going to have to bet $100 on the other 15 hands. And we convert that to net EV. That's about $15.90 lost. But we're betting $100 on the side bet, right? And again, if you go back to the win rate was 2.958 per shoe for a 6-deck game. So we're going to be winning $295.80 on the side bet. So our net expected value, right, in this system of play against this side bet, betting 10 and 100, so $100 max bet, is about $279 per shoe. Now, compare that to blackjack card counting with a $100 max bet. If you have followed me and you know this work, then a $100 max bet, if you're playing a 6-deck shoe as an ordinary blackjack high-low card counter, let's suppose it's a hit 17 game with a cut card at a deck and a half. You're winning under $20 per 100 hands with your $100 max bet, all right? Under $20 using ordinary blackjack card counting. $279 per shoe with this game, right? And I guess it's going to be even more if we were to do it per 100 hands. So, again, I broke this down per shoe, not per 100 hands, but you can see the win rate of this compared to ordinary blackjack card counting is at least 10x. So great, 10x the win rate. But why are you never going to play this? What is the problem here? Well, the problem is that you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught fairly quickly. And there you go, right? I mean, obviously this casino must know, any casino that offers this must know that it's vulnerable. They may put the cut card more than 14 cards, but it doesn't matter where they put it. If they put it at a half a deck or a deck, it's still going to be vulnerable. But what is the card counter doing? They are making small bets on the main game. They're coming in late in the game, probably later in the shoe on this side bet. They're making large bets on the side bet compared to their bet on the main game, right? And they're doing this over and over and over again, day after day after day, right? Yes, you may have one or two or three cycles where you were able to get away with this. You may win a few hundred or a few $1,000s, but this is not the type of play that like some other Baccarat side bets, like the pairs bet, for example, where you can just do it over at very high level, ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. The other is that I don't think this bet is available in very many places. Maybe if you know that this bet is available near you, leave that in the comments. I'd like to hear. You don't have to say where it is, but just say, oh yeah, it's in my country somewhere, or I know where it is. So we know that it is, or it was, at this one casino, the Hippodrome, which is in London. But I don't know that I've ever heard of the side bet before this email I just got, and I just think it's fascinating that things like this exist and there are people out there trying to beat them. Look, I wish you good luck. If you're a player, I want you to beat the casino, but look, if you're a casino person, I want you to know this stuff too, so that you can be on guard for the players. So either way, for me, it's just information. I'm just out there trying to give you information. So, all right, everyone, this is Elliot Jacobson. See you later.